Welcome to the Voice of C38 Untapped. I am Brendan Wyatt. Today we are at Station 26 Brewing, and I am joined by Senior Director of Development Brian Crookham and C38 Man in Charge Patick Quinn. Say hi, guys.
How do you do? Hi,
guys. Let me first start with you. You've been part of the club for, well, a long time, and you've done a whole lot of things as far as your involvement with the club. You also have a key role in Charlotte and dealing with them, but overall, you could kind of say you're a bit of the man in the box to box as far as the front office goes.
That's probably a good way to put it. I mean, I've been very fortunate over a decade being able to not only serve the club, but our supporters and the people that have helped us achieve the things we have achieved over that time. And whether it's on the field with the academy or the first team, or whether it's in some more behind the scenes roles in the front office or broadcast or some of our international relationships, it's an honor to represent the club, and I've been presented with some really fortunate opportunities. But yes, I've seen a lot of the different rooms around the stadium.
Awesome. Let's get started with some beer, because that's also why we're here. So first off on our taster list is the Colorado Cream Ale. This is the Station 26 flagship ale, guys.
Cheers.
I like that. That's a good way to start the day.
Good light beer. It'd be great in the summer on a hot day.
We are recording in the winter.
But it's sunny outside, and we're in the middle of a drought.
Oh, nice and light for early morning recording of podcast.
Yeah, I'll take that. Senior Director of Soccer Development. That's kind of a vast title, and it basically, to most people, that would say you're the guy in charge of the academy system. But that's not all true, is it?
Well, in a sense, I guess it is. But it's a lot more than that on what the club is invested in from a player development standpoint. And so I oversee our relationship with our USL partner in Charlotte. We've got a pretty robust system in general, so that also includes our under-23s that play in the PDL, our academy, our local youth soccer club, our alliance partners, and then some of the other things that we're doing to develop our soccer business, whether that to be domestically or around the world.
You did mention alliance partners. What is the Rapids Adidas Alliance?
Well, as we kind of were able to develop a really solid curriculum and philosophy and methodology, we saw a demand for that. And so in looking at some people who had approached us initially about partnerships, we saw a very good opportunity to get out, support other clubs, whether it be in our market with somebody like the Colorado Rapids Youth Soccer Club, or in external markets, the Rio Rapids down in Albuquerque, Black Hills in South Dakota, or even kind of an out-of-the-box partnership that we've got in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we support our partner clubs from a technical standpoint when it comes to methodology, curriculum, the education components that go with that, with coach education, parent education. But we also have a solid business relationship with those groups, and we're able to help them in sponsorship. We're able to help them with their board and the organization of their groups. So we feel it's pretty holistic in our partnerships. They're pretty invested in our partners, and we've got fantastic partners that help extend our brand and our technical prowess across the country.
Would you say that this is a bit of the underlying message in the Rapids Way?
It's an extension of the Rapids Way, and what it allows us to do with the Rapids Way is make sure that there are induction points for basically any player. So if you're a 5-year-old in Albuquerque, you still have a pathway and a methodology and information that can allow you to get all the way to our first team. And it's not limited to the boys, although we don't have a first team on the women's side. We're equally invested in the product that we provide for the girls that are there, and we're certainly proud of walking into our stadium every week, and we're probably 50-50 in the people that come and support us on the men and women. So we feel a responsibility to that as well, and so once again, being holistic in it, providing the opportunity for honestly every kid to get inducted in the system, and if their potential and their motivation is right, they can go about as far as they can go.
Let's segue off of that a little bit, since we're kind of talking about partnerships. Let's talk about Charlotte a little bit and kind of your role, in dealing with that and how that sort of integrates with the infrastructure we have here in Colorado.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we have to be really good at as our league develops is the induction of young professionals into they need that support, and they need the ability to go get games. The biggest, the term I hate to see against 18, 19, 20-year-old player is unused sub. I think that's a tragic term to use against those players, because they need to go see those games. And our environment in Charlotte, Mike Jeffries and his staff do a tremendous job of replicating the demands that we'll have here. We're very involved in the setup of that club and how the kind of technical piece of it comes together. So we know when players go there, they're going to be challenged to try to perform at an extremely high level, and although we might not be able to get them games immediately in our first team, it's a great proving ground for us. And look, success to us there is a Marlon Hairston who goes down, plays, gets confidence, and comes back and plays for us and becomes a solid starter in our program. But it also allows us to look at other players that we're not quite ready to make a decision on, and if they can't handle it in that environment, it tells us something as well. So it's it gives us both sides of the equation there.
How about some more beer, guys?
Beer.
We just are right on top of this. So to start off next, this is the Juicy Banger IPA. We're going from colors from light to dark.
All right.
I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of juicy in there. That's just mostly an IPA for me.
Just banger for you.
Yep, just a banger.
No, I kind of disagree. I mean, you get that juiciness, but I think it comes from, it doesn't have that real strong hoppy bite to it that you get in a lot of IPAs. That would just be my guess without actually knowing why they named it that way.
So, moving on. Player development is definitely key in soccer. Those that are kind of new to the sport maybe not necessarily realize that. And with the downfall of the U.S. men's national team this last summer, where do you feel like they kind of went wrong, and what are we doing right to kind of assess the situation as far as youth soccer and development goes?
Well, the men's national team situation is a pretty complex one. I think that was it's a product of a lot of different things. If you look at what Bruce went through in that qualifying, for him not to feel confident enough to go to his bench and change the lineup, and us going to Trinidad on the last day and be able to freshen that, be really sharp. It's not the fault of those players that are standing there. A lot of people have been on them about entitlement, or they're the guys that are in. The reality is, if you want to get rid of entitlement, have somebody pushing from the other side. And I think we've got a little bit of a lost generation, kids that were born between maybe 92, 93 through the 95s. Should be in there pushing that. They should be a realistic option for him to bring them off, change the game, change the tournament for us, and freshen that group up. And for not being able to do that, I think it signals a problem with that age group. It also coincides with where our league is going. Because if you think about it, we're now developing players that have to be able to compete with the Miguel Almirons of the world, not Steven Leonard.
Yeah.
So they've got to be ready to play. And if they're not ready to play in there, we've got to fill that gap. And I think we've got a generation of players that before the USL piece really came in and became active were unused subs, as we talked about earlier. And so finding a way to get the 18 to 22-year-old playing meaningful games is absolutely critical, because we're competing at the under-17 level in the World Cups. Under-20s, we do quite well. We fell down in the under-23s, and we fell down at the national team level, full national team level. So I think that signals that's where we are. From our standpoint, our partnership in Charlotte and getting those young guys opportunities to play, having a clearly connected player development system and investment in our young pros is absolutely critical.
No, and that makes sense with trying to get more experience and playing time for these younger guys. And I think that's something the league struggles with, particularly when there's always this push to raise the cap so you can improve the quality of players. But oftentimes those younger guys you're trying to develop get passed over a little bit because everybody's looking at South America or Europe to get those guys with the more experience and have had the technical ability taught to them, and they've got more experience, and they're coming in and they're going to get more playing time over the younger guys because nobody wants to really take a big chance on them.
DP, young DP, TAM, all affects the induction point of a young pro, whether it's an academy kid or a college kid, whatever that is, that bar gets raised for them because of those other mechanisms of acquiring players. So as the league level goes up, our investment and our attention to detail in preparing these guys to be pros has got to be even better.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll change it up a little bit. Now we'll do the American Copper and Amber Ale. Now that's a shift in palate taste from the other two. That's smooth.
Definitely
I
more
like
my
that.
pace there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also mentioned PDL and that we actually have our U23s are a part of PDL. Could you also maybe help break down and explain the difference between the academy system and the youth system?
Yeah, so we have kind of the core pieces that we invest in that are our MLS soccer operations expenses. It's our MLS team and our roster of 30 players in that. It's our Charlotte relationship and the investment we put into that. And it's the 124 players that play in our development academy. So those 6 teams, U12 to U19, players in there, that's 100% investment from our end. We also have relationships in the, and I'll include the under 23s in there, the summer program that we play in the PDL, as once again something that we invest in. The youth soccer club that's our local Colorado Rapids Youth Soccer Club is more of a traditional nonprofit pay-to-play organization, as are our alliance pieces. So you have a piece that we've got 100% control and 100% investment in, and then you have the pieces that we influence through our relationships with those organizations that are part of our system.
Great. So kind of building off of, we're talking about the U17s and all that stuff and just kind of the people coming up through the system. I know this is kind of a loaded question, maybe tough to answer, but do you have any names off the top of your head that you could share with us that we might hear from in the squad and, maybe a couple years down the road?
Sure. I think one of the things that got lost last year in our first team performance was the kind of banner year that our academy had. And if you look at a group that had 2 teams in the development academy playoffs going really deep, the 17s lost at FC Dallas and in the quarterfinals. The 19s went to the semifinals. I mean, tremendous year there. We also had 13 players in the national team programs out of our academy. That's a tremendous number. We had 15 guys that trained with our first team out of our academy. We had a very good year. And if you look at the January camp right now as we speak, we've got 4 kids in national team camps at the U20, U19 and U18 levels, and those are target levels that we need to be making decisions on professional players. Sam Vines and Greg Tracy are in with the 20s. Think about a player like Kainoa, likewise, the goalkeeper in our 19s that's been with Charlotte all year as the number 2 as an amateur player. Those are impressive type things. We look at Matt Hunley, who's in our under 19s. He's also in with the under 19 national team camp, and Luke Hansen that's in with the under 18s. And that's just what's happening this week. Obviously, it's a lot more variable looking and throwing names on the table for younger players, but we've got really solid prospects in those older age groups and the age groups that we need to make decisions on. And quite frankly, I think you're going to be seeing some really positive news about player promotion in our club sooner than later.
Love it.
And finally, you're not the only Crookham to sweat for this club. Your son Connor is also a part of the program. What position does he play? Is he a bit box to box too as well?
Well, I guess he is, because he's not only right back, but probably his best performance this year was as the lead blogger for the under 17s while they were in Panama. So no, I mean, obviously we're very proud of his ability to participate, but having kids in the program, and I got one that's a younger player in a lower level team. Their experiences certainly shape how you look at it. They help develop me as a coach, and the experiences on the other side of it as a coach probably help you as a parent. So very proud of it. Very proud of all of our guys that are in those groups, and it's kind of neat to be able to have that type of interaction.
Great.
It's also my designated driver on a day like today.
Can't go wrong with that, especially with kids at that age.
You got to be responsible here.
Should have brought mine. As we move on to the Cherrywood Smoked Porter. Cheers, guys.
I really like that, actually.
Yeah, that's a good way to top off the cast. I would like to thank Station 26, Brian Crookham, Pat Quinn, and everyone else for sticking with us. Thank you.